Hello and welcome to today's video where we're going to be setting up Shopify payments on your Shopify store. And we're also going to be touching on a few additional Shopify payment options that you can use to help either incentivize customers to purchase with you or just to make things a little bit easier for customers when checking out. So let's dive into it. So first off, we're going to load up your Shopify account. So if you haven't already, log into your Shopify account and make your way to the admin page. Once you're on your Shopify dashboard, we're going to head down to the bottom left-hand corner and we're going to click on to settings. So once that's loaded, we're now going to head to payments on the left-hand side here. Then first thing you can see here is I have a little warning saying development stores can only process test payments. Now you won't need to worry about this as you'll have an actual Shopify account. Although as this is a test environment, I just have that warning. So feel free to ignore that. It's not wrong that you don't see that. You don't want to be seeing that. So no worries at all there. Now, once you get into here, you're going to see often two things. You're going to see Shopify payments and PayPal added in there. So both of these obviously need to be activated before you can accept payments so it knows where to send the money and if you actually have an account to accept that money from customers checking out. For the most part, most of you will be using Shopify payments on your e-commerce store. So we're going to set that one up now. So what we're going to do is click Complete Account Setup. Then we're going to see the list of details that we need to provide to be able to verify the account and to begin accepting payments. So make sure you read through this and collect all that information you're going to need, as it's probably easy to just get this done in one sitting. So we're then going to click Submit Details. Then we're going to select what sort of structure you have for your business. Now, it does have an individual, although this isn't what you would normally think, which is sole trader, as sole trader does still fall under a registered business. So individual, I guess, is sort of if you have a hobby business or if you're starting to sell something, although I think most of you will be falling under a registered business. And we're going to be selecting that one for today. And then once you select a registered business, you will see select business type, which sole trader, corporation, partnership, and public company. So for most of you just starting out, you might be a sole trader or partnership, or you might already be registered as a company. So let's just select corporation for this one. And we're going to click next. Now, once you've selected your business type, we can then begin filling in all the details. So hopefully you have all that in front of you and we can begin filling all this in. So I'm going to be using a bit of dummy content just to work through this with you. Although make sure you don't put dummy content in and actually use your correct information, as this is information that, one, you won't be accepted for payments if this is incorrect or invalid sort of data that doesn't match with other records. And two, you don't want this to be flagged or banned or suspended. Just because there are some businesses that do get flagged or suspended from payments, and you don't want to be one of those. Usually it's when they're in certain industries. So you should be more than okay with that unless you are one of those types of businesses. Although just make sure you get this information correct. It's a bit like the tax department. You don't want to mess around with them just because you want to make sure that you can get your money and process money as you wish and not have any issues there. So now go ahead and fill in all the details on this page. Then once you fill all that in, we're going to click next. And now you're going to select the industry type. Now this is usually where you want to make sure you don't pick the wrong thing, because this can be where they suspend you based on your industry type. Usually this might be more so if you fall under sort of tobacco or medicinal drugs or anything like that. They're the ones that usually have the issues. So you should be okay. And we're just going to select your industry type now. So for this one, I'm going to click clothing and accessories and then also other clothing and accessories. Then once you've selected that, make sure you do fill in the store phone number as the number you want people to see on the invoices and to be able to contact you on. Just because sometimes people have filled this in with their personal number, and then after time goes by, they realize their personal number is on all of the invoices, and that's not what they actually wanted. So again, make sure this is relevant to the store's information and not just your personal one. Then once you've done that, we're going to click next. Now you might have already filled in forms similar to this on other tax applications or anything like that. Although now you're going to need to fill in about the account representative and how you currently sit in the business. So this will be different for everyone, so take your time to go through this. Although you will just need to select what position you currently have. So if you're filling it on behalf of someone, just select the correct one for them. So in this case, I would say this person is director and sits on the company's governing board. It's like that. This person is executive in the company and this person owns 25% or more in the business. But make sure you do select the correct items. And I know I keep saying it, but many people don't. So just keep it easy and you don't want to be correcting all this later if you can get it right the first time. Then just go through and fill the rest of this in. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this is for personal information, not the business as such. So make sure when you do fill in the date of birth, it's actually the person's date of birth, not the company's sort of start or launch date. And same thing for the residential address. Remember, personal residential address, not the company's. Then you can see here, as I selected that I was 100% owner of the company, it has 100% equity listed here. Although if that's not the case, make sure you have corrected that and you've got the right equity breakdown listed. Then click next. And then we can see again that we've got the director. I'm the only director here, so we don't need to add anyone else. But if you do have other directors, you can add that easily there. Then once we go through to review all of this information, just take one look through before you do look to take any further steps. Again, better safe than sorry, take your time, look through everything. And we then just need to upload a document to support the business verification. So usually this is any document that will include things like the business name, ABN, address, phone number, those sort of things. Any business name registration or tax sort of registration documents are great for this. So upload one of those and that should do more than enough to get yourself verified for payments. Then once you've done that, click confirm. Once you confirm the business side, you just need to confirm the personal information that's been entered too. And similar thing here, just include some sort of verification that shows the identity and address of the people or person that you filled in the information for. So then once you've done that, just click confirm and then you'll be able to submit for verification. Now, once you submit for verification, this shouldn't usually take too long. Usually it would be done almost right away, although this can still take a little bit of time and they'll usually advise on any processing times after submitting. So then click submit and then we're going to head back to payments inside of settings. So go ahead and do that and I'll see you in a second. So now we're back in the payment section here. You should have a different screen as I do, although as it was just dummy content and on a development store, I won't actually be submitting that for verification. Although what we can see here is there is an option just below Shopify Payments that if you were looking to use a different payment provider, you can select see all other providers here. Then once that's loaded, we're going to see a list of all third-party payment providers that you can utilize on the store. So you can see the first one here being Bogus Gateway. That is just for development testing purposes. But then beneath that, you're going to see all the other options. So usually if you're just starting out, you're not going to be worried about any of these. Although for bigger enterprises or companies, they might have deals or partnerships with certain payment gateways. So they might be wanting to prefer and utilize those over others. So just something for reference. You don't need to worry about this. So feel free to ignore it. But just in case you do, that's how you get to that section there. Then heading back, we can see just below there, we have additional payment methods. So you can see PayPal is already there as an additional payment method. You do have to still activate that, what you can do here by selecting activate PayPal. Then you just connect your PayPal account or set one up if you don't already have one. Then we can also see just below that, add payment method. So if you click on that, we're then going to see the other options for payment methods. So you can go in here and search by payment method or provider. So let's just say you want to add another provider and that could be Klarna, for instance. So you can search Klarna, add that in. So we can click there and then we can go install. Now, once you click install, it'll probably take you to install the application for that payment provider. So once you click install, it's going to likely prompt you to install the application or plugin for that payment method. Each of these, particularly for the Afterpay, Klarna, ZipPay, anything like that, they're going to need an app as that will also allow you to have the little widgets on your website that have the payment in installments. So it will break down the price for you of that product. So it might be, purchase with 4 installments of X amount. So that's why you need to install the app as well. And then they'll also require you to set up a separate account with each of the providers there. And then it'll also require you to set up, similar to PayPal, for instance, to set up an account. So whether that's Klarna, Afterpay, etc., they're all going to need their own account for you to have, and then for you to connect that between the store and then the app, for instance. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't take too long and there's no harm in really installing these. They do inject little bits of code, but usually it's very small. And if there are any issues, simply reach out to their support or let me know and I'll be happy to guide you on how to remove that from your theme once I've injected those little bits of code in there. So if we click install on this one, we can then just see it then prompts you into the merchant portal, which once you get there, this is where, again, you'll log in or create an account. And then you'll be able to connect all of that there. Then once that's all connected, you'll simply be able to head back to payments inside of your Shopify settings. And then you'll see the additional payment methods continue to appear within this section here. So you can add as many payment methods as you want. Now, a few of the additional payment methods I'll definitely recommend you have set up on the store is PayPal, Afterpay, and Klarna. Now, these do service different areas of the globe. So a very localized business, you might only need what's relevant to the local customer base you have. Although if you're in Europe, Klarna is a very popular one. Afterpay, extremely popular in Australia, and then PayPal International. So these are a few ones to keep in mind, and they can build a lot of trust with the customer, particularly first-time buyers, that some people won't purchase with you unless you have things like Klarna, for instance, as Klarna does give the buyer a little bit more protection when purchasing from you. So sometimes you might lose out a little bit on the transaction fee, although for the benefits that it does provide you, I would probably suggest it's worthwhile exploring these extra payment methods and including them on your store for customers to be able to purchase with. Then lastly, just beneath these sections here, we can see there's a little bit more information on this payment settings. These aren't usually the most relevant settings when starting up your e-commerce store unless you have very specific business cases that you need to apply them to. Although one being when you want to capture the payment. So whether that's automatically at checkout, automatically when the entire order is fulfilled, or manually. Now, if you're maybe B2B, you might go with manually or fulfilled, as that way it can just save you, processing those bigger wholesale orders or anything like that. Although for the most part, you're going to want to be capturing that payment directly at checkout. So I'll leave that first option selected. And if you're not sure, again, let me know and I'll be happy to discuss it with you and see if you do have a use case for one of the others. Although if you're not aware of it and just selling direct to consumer, I'll definitely recommend keeping that first option selected there and just collecting payment at checkout. There's no real other reason why you shouldn't be doing that. Although if you do select manually, you can see beneath there is an additional option to add in manual payment methods. So this would be things like your bank account details. So if you have a BSB and account number that you need someone to transact into, or a BPay code or anything like that, this is where you'll add that into this section here. So you can see by going manual payment method, and then within that you have bank deposit, money order, or cash on delivery. So those will be the options the customer can then select when they get to the checkout of your store. So you could have one of those or provide all of them as an option too. So completely up to you. And again, every business is different. So see what is relevant for yourself. Then the last thing we do have here are payment method customization apps that Shopify has on the App Store. And you can install that on your store to customize that process. Usually this is more so for those sort of B2B or alternate payment collection methods, which again, for the most of you, you'll be selecting automatically at checkout. But if, for instance, you do have one of the others or a unique business case, there may be an app that will help you with that. So you can see here, there's a small collection of apps that will help you to customize that process, whether it's be the cash and delivery method or payment after purchase, anything like that. A few options here, so feel free to explore those. And usually if you have an issue with a certain business case, someone else probably has as well. But if not, you might be in to create an app that could do quite well as well. So never rule that out. You could be creating an app for the Shopify App Store and have many people benefit from you creating a solution for that problem. So keep that in mind, but there should likely be something for you already here. And if not, then again, let me know and I'll be happy to see if I have any solution for you or if there's a workaround that can be implemented. Now, one thing to keep in mind as you grow your e-commerce business is that the different Shopify plans do entail different transaction fees. So you'll see that when you get started on the basic plan, which is guided towards solo entrepreneurs or people just starting out, you're going to see slightly higher transaction fees. So just a quick summary of this, you'll see that the card rates on the basic plan start at 1.75% plus 30 cents per online transaction. Then you have 1.95% for in-person transactions, or 2% for every third-party payment provider. Then if you go to the next plan, which is called Shopify, you can then see it goes to 1.6% plus 30 cents per online transaction. And then only 1% for every third-party payment provider. And then moving to advanced, it goes to 1.4% plus 30 cents per online transaction, and then 0.6% for the third-party payment providers. Then if you go to Shopify Plus, that's a different ballgame, but for now we'll focus on these first three. And it's just something to keep in mind is when you look to pay for the certain plan, you might look at that middle plan or advanced, for instance, and think, oh wow, that's a lot of money to pay per month. I don't want to spend that much. Although businesses will get to the point where depending how much revenue you're doing per month, it could actually be a viable financial option to upgrade the plan, as you might actually be saving more than the difference between each of the plan's costs. So definitely keep that in mind and just have it in the back of your mind or keep track of it, as you might find that as you scale to a certain level of revenue and depending what payment provider or methods people are using, you might be in the position that it's definitely worthwhile upgrading your plan, that you get those better rates, as although you'll be spending more money on the monthly plan, you'll be saving a lot in the long run on those transaction fees. So that's all for today's video on setting up Shopify payments on your Shopify store. If you have any questions, please let me know and I'll be more than happy to help. And I look forward to seeing you soon.